The book I chose to read this summer was A Separate Peace by John Knowles. This book takes place during World War II at a boarding school in New Hampshire. It's about two boys that are best friends. Their names are Gene and Phineas. Even though these two are best friends, there's still a bit of rivalry. Gene eventually gets very jealous of Phineas for how good he is at sports, and he tries as best as he can to become a better student than Phineas, while Phineas is completely oblivious to this. So they continue this rivalry, and Gene eventually just gets fed up with always being in second place, and there's a tree in the book which they both climb up and they jump off of into a river. While jumping off this tree, they have to be very careful because if they don't jump far enough, they will land on the bank and it could easily kill them because the tree is very tall. Gene has always been much more afraid of the tree than Phineas. In fact, Phineas is the only reason that Gene ever went off the tree because he would have been too scared without him. So one day, Phineas and Gene went up the tree together to jump off at the same time. And while Phineas was on a little farther out on a branch on the tree, Gene was at the base, and he looked at Phineas standing there, and he had been so jealous of him that all of a sudden he just bounced on the branch and Phineas fell and broke his leg. Gene said he didn't know why he made Phineas fall off the tree, but later in the book it explains that he was very jealous of him and his jealousy got the best of him in that moment, and while he didn't think much about his action before, it definitely had very bad consequences. The main theme of this book is friendship. In this book, the limits of friendship are tested, like when Gene tells Phineas the true reason that he fell out of the tree. Loyalty is also part of friendship, and that is shown when Phineas is still Gene's friend, even after Gene tells him why his leg got broken. And friendship is also questioned, like when Phineas starts to really believe what Gene's telling him about his leg. This book is definitely for a younger crowd, maybe middle school age or high school, because it's about two young boys who are in high school. So that relationship is very relatable to someone of that age, and also the writing is pretty easy to understand and would be good for a middle schooler or a high schooler. This is a pretty good book, I think, especially because of how relatable the relationship between Gene and Phineas is to real life. And the only thing I really didn't like very much about this book was the plot, because the plot is rather boring and sometimes parts of the story can be hard to get through because it is rather dull. But overall, it was a pretty good book.